Audio. Hey, there we go. I see the mic now. All right. Should be back. Had to reboot my mixer. Happy Wednesday, guys. I have my monitor has a KVM switch built in, so I swap between my laptop and desktop, and for some reason, once in a while, it just like loses the audio source. I have to reboot it. But yes, back in business. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully everyone is wonderful after our silent intro. Phil, Alyssa, what's going on, guys? Reef Keeper, Brendan. Hopefully everyone is doing fabulous. I am jealous of everyone that went to RAP. Hopefully it was lots of fun. The people are always amazing. If there's anything really new and cool, fill me in because I'm curious. I want to go back. Yeah, very short-lived. Evening, just got new coral, trying to figure out placement. That's always the battle. If you have enough motivation, you could almost always find a spot somewhere in the tank to put it. Terrence has a new display. That actually looks really cool. Advent, I think it's called, something like that. It actually looks cool. I legitly just bought like an old school Apex one like a month ago, just because I wanted something to quick glance at. But it has more parameters and it's a nicer little screen. So I think that thing looks actually super cool. So I'm stoked for that one to come out. I don't know if anyone said like a price or a release date, but if they did, let me know. I would love to know on that one. But yeah, it did look pretty slick. AD had the flex on display. It's nice. Okay, Phil, fill me in. That light I was looking at, I saw O's video of it, and it intrigues me because it is super thin. Part of me wants to get like 2 of them just like right against my light bar and try it out. Out of curiosity, how was the light spill and stuff? Like, was there much light spill or was it pretty contained? Because the LEDs are recessed up there, so I think it's pretty cool. That thing definitely has been piquing my interest. Thinking hairy mushroom in the corner of the tank where the clowns are hanging out. Mushrooms or clowns will absolutely host a mushroom too, so it could be cool if they take on. Hollywood Stunner, that is a very aggressive coral and has very long sweepers, so just make sure you give other corals lots of space from the Hollywood Stunner. Just throwing that one out there. Also making a Zoa garden, 16 Zoas. Very nice. Good haul, John. Avid Insight. They said this year 200 to 3. Oh, you're guessing 200 to 300. I wonder what it'll be. If it's, I bet you'll be like 100 to 200 range. I can't see it being 2 to 3. Because it's got to be cheaper than buying a tablet, right? So it's got to make sense from that perspective. Phil, it's basically the Stratton just spread out. It's not meant for supplemental light, but as a main light. So not much light spill. That's key. So here's the thing, like in my mind, I don't know if one would be enough for like, for instance, if I threw it on my peninsula, like I'd probably put 2 side by side to make a bigger panel. But I don't know. I'm super curious just because the light it's so aesthetically pleasing. 100 to 200, my guys. It's monitors CO2. Typo. What are you doing, Melissa? CO2, are you talking pH? Are you talking CO2 in the atmosphere of your house? That's probably low because normal outsides I think is around 400-ish. Oh, also comes with CO2. Oh, built-in CO2 monitor. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, that is pretty cool. That alone is a selling feature that would justify a higher price because those alone are like 100 and something bucks. So yeah, no, I'd totally be all over that one. BRS is sold on the Stratton too. I saw it in stock. I don't know if I actually saw it in stock. I saw it show up in the new section, but I never actually saw stock. So it either sold really fast or it's new and they just haven't got it. I don't know. But it looks pretty slick. I kind of want one. Unless you're all over the place at RAP. You know she was. You totally were, girl. Yeah, so the Stratton Flex. I don't know. If anyone gets a Stratton Flex, like, let me know. They were in stock 2 weeks ago. Oh, good to know. I only learned about it like a week or 2 ago, probably when they sold out. Every like week or 2, I just peruse the what's new section to see what kind of new cool stuff is coming out. Sadly, there's been nothing overly new and exciting in my reefing world lately. It's been kind of status quo. When my Ghanies fell, it's taunting me that I can't fix it right now. Gave the tanks a little bit of love, not too much exciting. Fighting phosphates still, the good old battle on that front. Doing the phosphate E, I think it is. And probably just change some royal phosphate tomorrow and let that suck again, but Fish Ventura can nicely replace 3x or 30s my a flex. Now here's the question though. Would you do one flex or would you do two if you were to do it? No, but your pics are all over the place. Yeah, I did see tons on Instagram. I believe it. Hydros also showed the newest start. Yeah, so I think what I saw is the start is replacing like the minnow, or it's supposed to be like the new base level one to get people into it, which kind of makes sense. They're kind of like consolidating is kind of like their newer starter model, I guess. Fish Ventura 8-foot tank. Nice. Start is the freshwater controller. What makes it freshwater, not saltwater? Out of curiosity on that one. Because really, you can use a controller on either system, right? I think it's just aimed at being like a price-friendly controller to get started with, right? Because the name kind of makes sense. Here's your start to our ecosystem. Ooh, you got a max spec filter for your phone. Nice. Did you get the yellow or the orange one? It's like the launch without the pH probe. Okay, that's fair. See, not everyone cares about pH. Like, it's nice to know, but if you're not chasing pH, you're probably fine not knowing it. Like, if anything, it probably makes you mess with your tank more. So that's a trade-off. It's like the launch without the pH probe. Yeah, yellow. Yeah, so yellow I find is probably the better one for most tanks. And then if they're super heavy blue, then I find the orange one's like a smidge better. Perfect for nano. Yep, absolutely. Is it okay to leave extra shells in my tank? Absolutely, that's actually a good thing. I have about a dozen empty shells. Okay, so if you have hermit crabs in your tank and they're outgrowing their shell and they want a new home, they will take out a snail, eat it, and basically steal its shell. So if you have extra shells, it will save your snails. So it's definitely worth it from that perspective, especially if they're bigger ones. AK Reef, been a while since caught alive. Welcome, welcome. Tropic Marin had ICP testing and mixed major minor elements. Good to know Tropic Marin's starting to do ICP. It's cool how many more companies are doing it. There's tons out there now. Craig, I have a 3-month-old reef tank, 80 gallons, and notice algae in the sand on the back of the glass. Not stringy or matty like cyano. Is that normal? Phosphates 0, nitrates 5. Okay, phosphate 0 could be trouble. What color is your algae? I guess the first question. It could just be, if your tank's only 3 months old, so it could also be diatoms, which is kind of like a brown dustiness that comes off really easy. If it's red, if it's orangey red, it might be diatoms. If it's like legit red, then it could be cyano. But yeah, 0 phosphates is usually trouble. You want to have something. You don't want true 0. Triton came with a monthly subscription ICP and traced. Oh, that's interesting. What how much do they charge for their monthly subscription? Like, is it a better deal if you subscribe to it versus one-off ones? You are welcome. ICP and all the elements you're lacking shipped to you every month. Huh. So you send off a test and okay. $10 discount for the annual. Yeah, I wonder, like, I only do an ICP test every few months, right? Like, I'm not, I in theory, it'd be nice to do it every like 3 months or so. Realistically, it's randomly, but it's kind of $70 a month for a 100 gallon. Huh, it's kind of a cool service though. Like, your tank would be pretty dialed if you're testing it that much and actually correcting it. Like, if they are also doing the trace elements, that's not terrible actually. Benzidol seems to only knock back the purple cloves for a few weeks before they start coming back. I think you need a stronger dose of benzidol. 2 doses. Do I need to hit harder or switch to mechanical? Yeah, so if you're using fabenzidol for purple clove polyps, I think you need to up your dosage to like a 2 or 3x dose to fully take them out. It needs to be a little more potent for that one for sure. So, I don't know. It's a good question. Would you guys do a subscription model for like monthly ICPs? It's a bit cheaper. They give you everything you need to correct it. It's a cool method. You know, $70 a month isn't bad considering you spend $40, $50 on a normal ICP test. I guess if it includes shipping everything else, then it's not bad. So would you do it? Da-da-da. Was there any other really cool stuff that came out? 1 year commitment? Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, was there any other like really cool new products that came out? I need 2 every month. You need like double subscription. I guess you could alternate tanks every month, but that would kind of mess with it, especially if they're doing a trace elements on top of that. Toon Skimmer. Okay, I've not seen that one. The only Toon Skimmer I've seen is the nano ones that you magnet on the tank, and that was actually a surprisingly decent skimmer, and it was quiet. It's a, yes please, it's a beast. Can I find it? Reefapalooza videos. Oh, I found a video on it, but they're not showing it. They're just talking about it. Okay, so that is a beastie. Those are the pumps. Comb line 9021, is that the one, like the mini one, or is it a bigger version of it? One more. I have a yellow chorus wrasse that swims erratically, darting all over the tank and always hides when I approach the tank. This can't be normal, right? It's been in the tank a month now. It's called the orca. Okay, thank you. So I have not had a yellow chorus be that erratic, so it does make me question if something is up for that reason. Usually they can be like that for a few weeks until they settle in. A month, you think they'd be settled in by now. I guess the bigger question is there another fish that's like picking on them or harassing them? Something else that might be causing that? Like I would start to look at that. Oh, the orca, is that not a skimmer, but the thing that rotates the power head? If so, I've seen that. That's kind of funky, if that's the one. Yeah, the IND aquatic frozen feeder. That actually looks pretty cool, too. And it looks small, which is nice. What? You won? You won a fish feeder? The IND one, Alyssa? Sweet, if so. Heck yeah, that's wicked. Been thinking of what to stock my 30-gallon with, possibly different damsels. You just got to watch out you find some that aren't too aggressive on that one. And ideally pick fish that stay fairly small because it kind of keeps the scale of the tank better. Alyssa, heck yeah, that's a pretty sweet prize. I ordered some stuff from BRS, and like the next day they release on their website. And honestly, I probably would have ordered it if it was out last time I did order, so.
In order to sustain life
yeah, if it's
in a coral reef aquarium environment,
rotates the whole power,
flow
that's kind of
and
cool,
water movement
cool addition. And that's what the orca is. I'm assuming that's the one you guys are talking about. So interesting question on here, because I had the lady on a couple weeks ago with her frozen feeder, which keeps frozen cubes, and it uses a little plunger and ejects them to the tank. It's basically a freezer. And then you have the IND one, where you kind of pre-melt it a bit, make a bit of a slurry, and then it doses that liquid to the tank. Now, I think I might try and get IND on in IND Aquatics. They'd be a cool one. It'd be kind of cool contrast to see. And maybe we'll schedule them for the next week or two. But yeah, it's kind of curious. Like, which method do you guys prefer? Do you think there's one's a better system or the other? Is there one that you'd be more inclined to go for? I'm kind of back and forth because in my mind, like keeping it frozen is better than melting it and refreezing it type of thing. But at the same time, it's smaller when it's already liquidy and doses it. Probably a little more maintenance to clean it, but it's a trade-off. But they're both pretty cool designs. So Alyssa, definitely let me know how you like it, because it may be something I'll end up with in the future. Smaller and easier to work with. Yeah, so the other one is big. Like you'd have to mount, I would personally mount it in the sump, like right by the return pump. IND, smaller, easier to work with. Yeah, it was out of stock when I looked the other day, but it's possible. I may end up with one eventually. So let me know. Well, you already have one, so you're good. But let me know how you like it. Like after you've had it for like a few weeks or a month or so, let me know. Works great. Oh, you're already using it. You've been home for like 2 days. Okay, that's awesome. Do you just fill it full of mysis, or what are you feeding through it? Oh, you already had one before. I thought you won one. Do you have two? Okay, now I'm confused. I totally thought you said you won one. Alyssa, you got two. Oh, that is awesome. You got one in each tank. Okay, you're hardcore. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, now I'm jealous. So you already love it. Now you have one for each tank. You're set. Life is good. All right. Okay, that's tried and true then. Maybe I'll get one all the time. Jair Morin. I'm probably saying your name wrong. What's good, man? I've been watching all of your videos. Appreciated. Slowly but surely catching up on the lives. Thanks for all you provided the community. You are most welcome, and thank you for watching and supporting it. Appreciate it. Combo of frozen food. So what's your special slurry that you do in there? Fill me in. Sell me on it. I'll get one eventually, so I'm curious. There's a lot to catch up on. Yeah, that's fair. I somehow do this every week, so there's definitely no shortage of reefing content. LRS Mices, solid choice. Dun, dun, dun. I mainly do PE Mices because that's local to me, so it's really easy to get. Salmon. Then do you buy fresh salmon, just like chop it up, like from the grocery store, or do you get some other frozen fish related one? I'm always curious. Like, that's one thing I've never tried is like full out making my own food, but I do like the idea of it. IND is cheaper, and I feel like I can mix multiple things in the slurry. Yeah, you could do that. I guess the other question is, I think off the stock you can only feed once a day, and I think you need a controller to feed more than that. Is that correct, Alyssa, on the IND one? Yep. LV Las Vegas? Yeah, I think so. I believe I saw an ad for it being Las Vegas this year. Yep, and frozen food. Nice. Yeah, so there's like an AF4 IND Connect bundle. So I'm assuming that's what you need to like Wi-Fi control it. Cable to Apex, like 20 bucks. Okay, that's super easy then. 4-hour drive. When is that? Oh, you're super close. Perfect. Okay, so they now have Wi-Fi control that you can buy that connects with all of your Alexa and home devices. So is there a point of buying the Wi-Fi control, or would you just buy the Apex control? I wonder if each dose is comparable to 1 cube. I believe you can adjust how much it doses. Soki, half hi Dev. Hello, how are you doing? Wonderful, thank you. How are you? A long time no see. I just want to ask a unique question relating to torches, losing tentacles, and KFC dip. This is a reef tank link, shows the current state of. Oh, I don't think the link showed up. But yes, if you are having issues with your torches receding, if they are like, usually I kind of look at the flesh band, and the flesh band is receding back, so it's slowly getting closer and closer to the mouth. That's the time where I find the KFC dip really shines. At the end of the day, it's basically dosing antibiotics for it. You can do it full in tank, you can do it as a dip on the side. And, you know, the theory, hopeful, is the antibiotics will take out whatever bacteria or whatever bad things affecting your torch. Now, I've used it before, and it worked very, very well. My dragon soul torches were receding. They're starting to go downhill. Now I have a big thriving colony again. So it definitely works. You know, even on this tank beside me, like there's a couple torches because I imported some of them, and I tried the dip on it, and that worked there as well. So they all seem pretty happy. Now, that being said, I did lose one single head of the green guy right there. So I might actually have been thinking about popping it out, and I'll do a dip with that one as well, just for good measure. Scored a nice Holy Grail torch with some pink and purple tips. Very cool. Nice. I think, good work. That's sweet, Phil. I think this is my closest to Holy Grail because it has like the yellowy mouse and the green. And then the tips are kind of purple, but no pink. You got more colors. I like it. Has there ever been a case where a head has died, but it sprouts out babies? I have seen that on some corals. Like more plate corals, like fungias and stuff, they will do that. I've also had it on fathead dendro where it's receded, but a little baby like just came back off the side of it. So I haven't necessarily had it on a torch though, but usually you can see a little head. But you know, you could just leave stuff in your tank for a while and it might eventually sprout a new head, so it definitely doesn't hurt. Yeah, plate corals are probably the most famous ones for doing that one. And thank you so much for the information. You are most welcome. I'll stick with my Todd's torch from Phil. That's my holy grail. Man, I'm so jealous of you guys down there who can just trade stuff all the time. Phil, if we were close, I'd love to be trading stuff, buddy. Alyssa, you're lucky. Has there ever been on sprouts? Yeah, usually with torches, like they're gonna butt off a head. They'll either split a head or sometimes you'll see one butt off lower in the stem. But I'm gonna say the majority of torches that I have, like I'll see them, those just start to split heads and they'll slowly grow apart. I'm gonna say I'm probably like 95% of them. But yeah, you never know. So sometimes it doesn't hurt to keep that laying in there for a while. What's going on, Josh? Welcome. Dun, dun, dun. September 27, 28. I'm assuming that is restock. Alyssa, my super chat. Thank you. Much appreciated. Much appreciated, Alyssa. Thank you. Is this for the IND fund? Okay. What else do you guys got for reefing questions? Give me something hard and tricky. What do you got? Thank you. I appreciate it. Just late for moving frags into the new tank, plumbed into the display yesterday. Happy to get some frags off the glass. Yeah, I really appreciate not having frags on the glass. It's like a weird thing with the display. It just looks so much nicer when they're all like mounted properly. And even getting stuff off the sand bed onto the rocks is a nice aesthetic. Earlier about mixing the KFC dip and antibiotics. These things are definitely your friend. Magnetic mixer, super cheap on Amazon. But when you're dissolving the pills inside, it makes a big difference. And depending which ones you're dosing, the hard pills, it's definitely worth investing in a pill crusher. So the powder ones obviously easy, but if you're doing the hard ones, they're a bugger to dissolve. So I bought this thing for like 10 or 15 bucks. You just pop it in there and spin it, and it crushes and turns into powder. So it makes it really easy to that, and then drop it in your magnetic mixer and just let it like spin for 20 minutes and actually dissolve to the tank. Because otherwise, before I had that, it just took ages for it to like actually dissolve and took forever. So side pro tip. I'm fallow now in my display tank. Should I go bare bottom now? The only reason to go bare bottom, usually if one, you're having some type of issue in your tank, you want to get rid of it, or there's something nasty in your sand bed, or you have ick and you're trying to go fallow for a while. Personally, I prefer sands because I think it looks more natural. It's a frag tank, you want more flow, I mean, by all means take it out, but that's kind of a personal preference thing. What do you think about the new Avid Apex display? I think it looks pretty cool. I'll probably totally end up buying one eventually. I appreciate how much more you can do on the screen. Just because, I recently just bought a Neptune one like a month ago, and I just have it tucked in the corner behind my water box just so I can walk by and just quick glance, see what's my pH, what's my elk, everything else. So for that, I think it's cool because you can fit way more parameters on the screen. And that was my biggest complaint about the current Apex screen. It's like, you got your 4 big parameters. I'm like, I want more things. I'd love to have 6 things on the screen. So you look burnt out. Man, I have not had a proper full night's sleep in over a week now. So yeah, there's that. Yep. Just need a good night or two of sleep and life will be good again. It's been a crazy, crazy week. I've moved like 40 Alzoas, Digi, Acros. We can trust. Calcium reactor. Calcium reactor is the way to go on a big tank. Heck yes. Which way does the 90 PVC part go inside my Geo's reactor? Are you talking about the one in the front? If it's the one pushing outwards, I pointed it down to push water into the rock. If it's the one sucking inwards, I think maybe it's sucking up to grab the air and bubbles from the top. But I'll check mine later. Double check if you need. I have a Zoa question. Ask away. How would you light up a 4x4 reef, 34 inches, SPS dominant? Ooh. There is a few options on that one. You know, originally, you know, my general go-to is usually Radions. Like 2 of those on there would be killer. You know, there's also stuff like the Stratton. You could do like a big panel light on top. You know, you could do Blaze. You definitely have a lot of options on that one. Probably the other consideration I'd have is I would probably either do a Stratton or I'd look at doing 4 XR15s in a grid. So it'll give you really good coverage and you can space them out a bit. Do like a square of them above the tank. I'd probably do the XR15s. 34-inch cube. 4 feet by 4 feet. 3 feet deep. So with the 3 feet deep, you do want a little more punch. Kids in 40-degree temps. Yep, I feel you on that one. And a lack of sleep. Here's a hard question. How do you go about dialing in the correct amount of effluent to dose from the calcium reactor beyond taking a guess and muddling with it, the mills in and out? Honestly, that's kind of what you got to do. So what I tend to do is I'll peg the pH in the calcium reactor. So pick like, you know, 6.45 to 6.5, depending on your media, or 6.5, 6.55. So peg that. So you only have one thing to worry about. Now, once your CO2 is steady, rock solid, you only have to worry about your effluent out. And, you know, generally, honestly, it depends on what you're dosing, what your demand is. But if you're dosing, you know, 50 mils a day, you know, maybe you try putting out like 20 or 30 mils a minute and test your elk, you know, wait 24 hours, test your elk again and see where it's at. If it's stable, you're golden. If it's trending down, up your effluent. If it's, you know, too high, lower your effluent. Like that's honestly the easiest way to think about it. Lissa, ReefDudes have a new lens, perfect fit with Orphic that go underwater. Thing looks like, check that out. Do you think the pill grinder you just showed would grind potassium pellets used in soft water? Probably. I bought this because I was doing an antibacterial treatment, and Cipro are very, very hard pills. And I tried like chopping them with a knife, and I tried different things, and they were a pain to crush. I think I actually ended up using like paper towel and pliers to crush it. So I found this, and it was like relative, like $12 or something like that off Amazon, and literally just pop it in, crush, like it's easy. But otherwise, it just wouldn't dissolve. It'd literally take hours to dissolve otherwise. So to me, that's been the good mix if you're doing like an antibiotic treatment, especially with torches. That's where it shines. Brushed away whatever you could. There wasn't anything. Sorry, just catching up on the chat. Phil got the best orange lens. Ask him. What do you use for an orange lens, Phil? Is 6.8 enough? I'm using old corals I'd grown. I run mine lower. I run mine around 6.5. Let me see what it's at right now. But I find lower tends to work well. If it's too high, you're not getting a high enough dissolving high enough elk. So if it doesn't work with the Hannah because it doesn't go high enough, or it's hard to dilute it. But if you have like in, what was the ATI, I think, or Salifert alkalinity test kit, you can test your effluent and see what the alkalinity is. Or you could dilute it with water and then do the math on it and figure it out. But if your effluent is a super low elk, then yes, you definitely lower yours. I always use the reborn media, and I tend to do 6.5-ish, which I find works pretty well. I have thrown in old chunks of corals and stuff that I had just within it, but yeah, so my calcium reactor is currently at somewhere in the list, 6.6 at the moment. So I usually use 6.5. Looks like it was 6.58. Looks like at the moment 6.6 for the basically held there the last day. And I think that's because I have my effluent a bit, so it raised the pH a bit. But if you can get it, you know, pegged at a certain pH, then just tweak your dosing effluent. Real easy. I use a lens out. So Phil, use a lens out of a coral viewing glass. I drilled 2 holes on the side and attached hair tie. High tech, beautiful. I like it. One size fits all. Definitely does. Is it like one of the max spec ones or which one? Because I know they had like a big circle one that came with one of their viewers. Maybe it was the. Can't see the box. But I know one of the ones I had came with a big orange circle. Okay, Martin. I just bought a thermoelectric peptite chiller for my nano tank. I pulled it apart to see, and the water runs through an aluminum block. Do you know how saltwater would be affected by this? Patir, there we go. That's the right word. Good question. Boat props are made of aluminum. So, it's one of the safer metals to use around saltwater. Whether or not it will leach anything long term is the question, though. I mean, it might be worth us doing an ICP test every few months and just see if there's anything out of whack or not. How is your line so flat? Mine raises about 0.2 every hour or so. I have the carbon doser CO2, so it's like a digital little pulse. So you can dial it in pretty dang accurate with that. Phil, no, the glass came with my Billy pipe back in the day. Oh, sweet. I have a big question. Ask away, Sophia. With an F. Is there any limit on how long Alpha Reef can sit mixed? I would say no. However, you do get some weird bacteria or something in there. I have a 5-gallon thing on my water box, like an ATO container. I just keep dumping it in. And there's a bit of like a white mullumy substance on like the dosing tube and some on the bottom. So it hasn't caused any issues, but it is there. And I think it's probably bacterial from mixing such a big thing. So that's the only downfall I've seen from doing large batches of it. Michael, are you using the Versa pumps for auto water change? If so, how often do you calibrate the pump? I did, at the moment, I'm using a Neptune Dose Quiet Drive, but I was using a Versa for it for quite a while. And how often I calibrate it? Usually only when I replace the tubes. Like once I did a calibration, it stayed pretty good. And then I'd say, eventually there'd be a point when I'd swap a bunch of my tubes for like the calcium reactor and the water change ones. And yeah, so if you change the tube, if you just check them and they're nice and pliable, squishy, still you're good. If they start to get hard and ridged over time in salt water, then it's worth swapping them. But they seem to stay pretty good until that point, which, the calcium reactor is the biggest one. The auto water change ones seem to stay fairly well in check. I also found that they did better pushing than they did pulling. So long term, I had one up by the tank to suck water out, then push it to the drain. And I had one by the new saltwater bin that pushed it, but I was also going up a floor. So the extra vertical height kind of helped. So if there's a lot of head height, I find they do way better when they're on the pushing side. Chemipure Blue will remove any metals if you're worried about the guy who asked all the questions about aluminum. Does it pull metals out? I don't know. Good to know if it does. They do, like Chemipure Blue is basically carbon with a phosphate resin in it. I don't know if it does metals or not, but bonus if it does. I know they have those like poly pads that pull out certain metals too. You can also thing. But yeah, I don't know. Like the aluminums probably will survive and hold up. It's just, will it leach anything? Like that's the wild card in my mind. If it's not made for salt water, if it's advertised for salt water, you're probably fine. If it's a DIY one off like a water cooler off Amazon, more of a risk. Since Red Sea makes the doser 4 and their 4-port is dosed by calcium, do you think they'll release auto testing for calcium? I haven't seen one strictly for calcium. There was the Reef Factory one where you could load whatever modules you went into it. Most of the calcium ones, though, that I've seen are all part of other systems, not a standalone one. Brightwell Pureit removes heavy metals. Yes, they do. That's a good one. That's also a good one to have just on hand if something, a heater breaks or something happens in your tank. Pureit's something that's just nice to have on the shelf for like backup plan if you got to pull out some nasties. Okay, Sophia with an F. Okay, I've got a few issues. You might have some background information, so I'll include the well stats, 30-gallon cube, salinity 1.026, coral view fleece roller, sponge filter, Jabo power head. All sounds good on that front. How well is the dose working for auto water change? Do you like it better? The dose Quiet Drive. I would not use a regular dose just because they're way too loud. Quiet Drive is much quieter. So definitely prefer that one. But yeah, and overall, I've actually been just trying to like put it through its paces, and I have one of them actually running my calcium reactor now too, and it's actually been super solid. and it's actually been quiet. I remember the old one, I would only ever use it for dosing. I refused to use it for anything else because it was too loud. But yeah, I'm using it for auto water change, and I'm using my second one just for calcium reactor / alpha reef. They've been holding up pretty well. I guess the bigger advantage would be the fact that I can control it remotely and tweak it. If you're doing it on the Versa, it's a bit trickier to do remotely, so it's kind of the difference on there. But should you be messing with your tank when you're not there? It's another consideration. Okay, Sophia, 81 degrees, run 5 to 10% white light. Heater had been 5 to 7 months. Use live SAM, water salvage tank, long nose spotted puffer, 5-striped damsel, Dino damsel. Fish. I did the dose 1.0 and I got the 2.0. There were tears. It's awesome quiet. Yeah, it's the way the version 1 should have been, like so much quieter. Yes, it is expensive. I agree. We have a niche hobby. Most things are expensive, sadly. Okay, Sophia, you gave me lots of details. Fill me in. What's the big question? Lay it on us. Bulletproof and heads last for years. Yeah. It's so the Versa, if you're dosing, lasts forever. Pushing RODI through calc water, lasts forever. Calcium reactor, it seems to eat them through every 3 to 4 months. It's just something about that super low pH that the soft tubing, it just eats it more. I haven't done this yet, but I thought about trying to buy PharmaMed tubing, like in the dose, and then putting it on the Versa myself, just to see how that would change things if it lasts a lot longer. I suspect it would. I haven't done it yet, but it's on my future to test list. You push or pull a calcium reactor. I personally push through my calcium reactor, primarily because it's quieter. Anytime I've ever pulled through a calcium reactor, it's always been harder to purge the air out, and then it makes the calcium reactor louder. Where if you push, it's really easy to get the air out. So I've always pushed for that reason. Red Sea Doser 4 is less than half the cost of the 2-head dose. Yeah, that's also the difference though. Like you can buy the little dinky dosing heads for super duper cheap off like AliExpress or somewhere and make a doser or whatnot. The bigger stepper motor dosing heads are more expensive, so there is a bit of a difference there with like any brand. But yeah, the bigger stepper motor driven ones, they're more precise, you know, or like the Versa with like the gear head and stuff. Like you can do like 0.1 of a mil. You can do more dialed in fine dosing with them, the stepper motors, just because they're more accurate. Dun, dun, dun. Pippo, I have a brand new V1 still in the box. So you're saying I should just put it in the basement if I want? Yes, exactly. If it's in the basement, you're probably fine. If it's anywhere near your tank or your living room, get the quiet drive, or just sell it and buy the quiet drive. Sophia, here's what I think. I'll fix it. Built-in refugium to absorb extra nutrients, and macro 5-gallon water changes with our RO. I've used tap water once. Okay. Tap water once isn't the end of the world. If your tank is having some issues, especially in a 30-gallon tank, for a little while, just do a 1 bucket water change a week. So if you do a 5-gallon water change every week, that is what? 20-ish gallons in a month on your 30-something gallon tank. So that will basically reset your tank. So just do a bucket a week for a couple months, and it should literally reset everything in your tank. Okay, so Key, sorry to be a pest, but can you repeat the type of tubing you would use on the Versa? Okay, I haven't done this, but I would like to try using PharmaMed tubing. It's the yellow one that seems less susceptible to being affected by low pH and CO2 and certain things. So that's, if you look at like a Comore or one of those, like the FXSTP and some of those, they have that yellowy tube, and it's called PharmaMed. There's a few different brands of it. Some of them are more neoprene based, but I would experiment with a couple of things. If you look at, not Foster and Smith, what's it called? Geringer, I think. Phil knows where you can buy it. It's in one of my notepads. But there's a few sites that sell the different tubings, and you could buy just lengths of it. So honestly, you could buy a couple different ones and try it and see what works well. It is the other one to try. the one that's similar to the stock one is Tygon tubing, and then Pharmamed's the other one. And David, copy and paste from him telling me that on a stream a couple weeks ago. Even gave me the item number. That was for US Plastics. There you go. In theory, don't quote me on this one, but that's potentially the one. US Plastics, 1/8 inner wall, 1/4 inch outer wall, Pharmamed tubing, $22 for 5 feet of it. So if you're in the US and can order from US Plastics, I would probably try that for fun. Old school wrist rocket tubing. That's probably what Pharmamed is, yes. Sophia with an F. If I do water changes, would the existing algae continue to repopulate without manual removal? I would suck out the... Okay, first of all, what type of algae is it again? But I would physically suck it out with your water changes, because usually algae is either from high light or high nutrients. But manual removal is going to be your friend. And if you can add a creature to help eat the algae as well, that will also help, right? So, if it's like a turf algae or a hair algae, like a turbo snail or a tuxedo urchin, it would be really good to do it. Yeah, brown and green film. Okay. If it's brown and green film, that's either dinos or it is cyanobacteria, or both. Green film is usually cyano. Brown film could potentially be cyano, or it could be diatoms. So it depends on what it looks like. But I would personally try... The other question, I guess, is it the same looking at nighttime? Is it in the daytime? Like first thing in the morning, does it look the same, or does it recede and there's less of it at nighttime? If there's less of it at nighttime, then that usually means it's dino, and a photosynthetic dino. Usually cyano is more red, but because you said green, I've also had green cyano in the past. So in that case, I would probably hit it with ChemiClean. Any experience with Bergia nudies? Yes, I do. Ask away. I have bred them, and I've definitely had them in the past. So what would you like to know with Bergia? They're ferocious aptasia eaters. They take a little while to breed. Super duper easy to breed, but you need lots of aptasia to do it. Tunes SeaWorld looks promising. What do you think about it? That's like the one that sits on top and spins it. As long as it's quiet, not noisy, I think it's freaking cool. The more randomized flow in the tank is definitely a good thing. If I had a canopy on my tank, I'd totally use stuff like that just to have power heads everywhere, more flow. I work from home. The V1 is brutal. Yeah, I sold my V1s when I got the Quiet Drive. I got one that they sent me to play with, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. So then I sold my original one, then I bought another one, so I have two now. Actually, I technically have three because I'm on two different tanks. How many nudies for a 75 gallon plus 30 sump? How bad's your aptasia is the real question. The more you add, the quicker they're going to deal with it. When you add Nudibranchs to a tank, they'll start to eat aptasia, and usually fairly soon, if they're adults, they'll start to lay eggs. It takes, those eggs a month or so to hatch and grow. Then there'll be little tiny baby ones as they grow up. So the more you have, the quicker it's going to build an army, but usually it's going to take a few months for them to fully take them out, because you got to wait for them to lay eggs. We could wait for those babies to grow up. They eat them, they lay some more eggs, and that kind of really builds an army. So it's a few month game using nudies. So you got to just keep that in mind. Trav, I saw a company offer an ICP test where they send you the exact blend every month based off your ICP for trace. That was Triton, I believe. Is 4 enough to start? Probably you could start, but it'd be definitely a few months for that. More the merrier. I think depends on how big your tank is. I would probably, you said 75 gallon tank. I would probably personally get 10 or so and add them in. With the caveat, you got to make sure your fish or no one's picking them off. But personally, I would shoot for closer to 10 if you can. Just because it's going to be a lot slower with only 4. But it's doable. Okay, Sophia, I have snails and a conch snail, urchin crab. I believe it's dinos and literally everything, even on the snail shell. Okay, dinos are a pain in the butt. the tricky part with dinos is you need to know what type of dinos they are. Some of them can be beaten with just UV, makes it super duper easy. Some of them you need to fight with, like, I've use diatoms to outcompete them. So there's different methods depending on which dinos you have. So ideally, buy a cheap microscope off Amazon and yeah, go from there and see if you can ID them. But that's the biggest thing. Did I get a new mic? No, I did not. However, my mic was not working at the beginning of the stream with my computer, so don't even have headphones. I don't even know what it sounds like today. Is last minute winging it. Does sound a little bit. Here, let's turn it up a little bit. See if that's any better. So fallow, no fish to eat them right now. Okay, yeah, if there's no fish in there, definitely could get away with a bit less. Salt is expensive these days. What are you using lately? Instant Ocean. eBay microscope's the way to go. Yeah, I bought mine off Amazon, but yeah, Amazon, eBay. Just get a cheap one that has, at least like 40 times zoom minimum. If you can get one that can do 100 times. Oh, you already have one. Well, there you go. Okay, take a sample, put it on a slide, and then you can actually ID what it is. If you're in my Facebook group, I'm pretty sure I have a document in there as attached one of the files about dinos. And if you don't, join it and message me, and I will find it and post it for you. But I have one that shows all the different dinos to ID them so you can compare them under a microscope. And then you can know exactly what to do to fight it. So I've had ones that have been really easy to beat with UV, and I've had others that were just a bugger, and I had to throw the kitchen sink at it, and including dosing diatoms to beat it. But yeah, that's the thing. I think there's 4-ish main types, and yeah, you just got to know which one it is to know the best way to fight it. Yeah, honestly, the last little while I've just been using Instant Ocean salt just because it's cheap. Cheapest of the bunch. Feed the dino. Like sometimes dino could be bottoming out nutrients. It could be something else in the tank. It's always a bit of a battle. So I'm sorry, dinos suck. It's probably one of the bigger hurdles of the hobby. But don't worry, you can beat it. It is doable. I did aquabiomics and they gave me a long list of the dinos I had. A bit overwhelming. Oh man. So Alyssa, silica, phyto, UV, bacteria. I threw the kitchen sink at it. I mean, that's one way to go too. IO reef crystals was on sale at PetSmart, $56. Nice. I have lately, the last little while, I've been trading coral to my LFS for like a box of IO. That's been my strategy the last little while. I see dinos, I throw reefroids at it. If it's due to bottoming out of nutrients, that can absolutely help. I did a live stream probably a year ago now with Jason Mack, and it was all about dinos and how to beat different ones. So that's probably a good one to rewatch afterwards. Dino. Let me see if I can find the video to link it. But he is the man on fighting dinos. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Michael Eddy, I appreciate it. Okay. Dino video. Watch that video later. That was a good one. And the guy I had on, Jason, he's like Max Reef. He is like a master at dinos. He has a full Facebook group dedicated to fighting them. And I have a guide from him about how to get rid of them. But yeah, so just give that one a watch later. Okay, Jason, low light, MB7, nitrates, phosphate dosing, and siphoning help me. Yeah, I find if you can physically remove as much as possible and then start fighting it, then there's less of them to fight, which definitely helps. But keep knocking them back is definitely a good way to go. But if it's one that's because of bottoming out nutrients, then yeah, you got to look at something to add more nutrients to your tank. What do you use for fighting nitrates, scrubber, refugium, carbon dosing for 450 gallon tank? Okay, all of it will help. So you could use the scrubber or refugium. Either way, they're going to help remove nutrients from your tank. Or you can look at carbon dosing, or you can do all of them. On my tank right now, I'm lowering my nitrates. I am dosing Tropic Marin NP. I'm just dumping a bit of that in lately. And I also have refugium. I have a skimmer. I have a filter roller. Like, it all adds up. But carbon dosing, if they're really high, and if they're not super duper high, then probably refugium and the other stuff can manage it. Feeding less, yes. Putting less into your tank means less nutrients. More water changes. Like there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. NP, yeah, a lim NP. So I've been dosing this stuff lately, trying to see how well it works for nitrates and just to lower it a bit. So I'm dosing like 1 pump of my Nios and 3 pumps in the water box lately. I haven't been doing it every day, but I'm just kind of working it up a bit. At this point, I'm going to buy everything in case. Protein skimmer, UV sterilizer, RDI, carbon iron. Yeah, you're going for the kitchen sink method. First, since you have a microscope, pop it underneath and see what it looks like. So once you can ID it, then you can know exactly what to do. Yeah, I'm like 99% sure there's like that guide from Max, like is one of the files in the ReefDudes Facebook group. And then you can just match it up with whatever one looks like the right one. And then there's tells you exactly, you know, the best way to fight it. I'll just buy part of the ocean. That's extreme. Yeah, start with the microscope. Honestly, it's the first step is knowing which dinos it is, and then you can know which methods work best against it. Are you going to do a video on the light shades for the XR3015 and their effects on par? No real change on par, to be honest. It blocks a bit of spread, so in theory, it could lower it a smidge. I mean, I could make white ones and bounce the light, but for the most part, for me, it's just blocking because I don't like seeing the light source. I thought about making slightly bigger ones to try on there next, but I finally actually just got the 3D printer rolling the other day. This is my creation the other day for holding my little stream decks. Gotta finish building that later. George here is a good DIY recipe for carbon dosing. I use my 400-gallon mix, 500 mils of vinegar, 375 mils of vodka, 125 mils of RDI, and use Red Sea no pox instructions. Yeah, the big thing with that too is like start really small and slowly work your way up. You got to ease your tank into it. But that is a good DIY no pox recipe. I have only used straight up vodka. I haven't actually did vinegar with it. So out of curiosity, Phil, do you notice a difference from doing a vinegar and vodka blend versus just straight up vodka? Or just straight up vinegar? DLSR or frameless, different coral photography, or mirrorless. Okay. Honestly, it doesn't matter. If you are doing just for photography purposes, mirrorless or mirrored, either one is going to do the job for photography. If you're doing video as well, then do mirrorless. Because the mirrorless just seem to work better for video. That's what I go with. I'm partial to the Sonys. I do like them. I used to be Nikon, and once I got into video, I swapped to Camp Sony just because the autofocus I find is a lot better. Even my live stream camera is like a Sony mirrorless. So they're good. Hello from Australia. Love your content and knowledge. Thank you. Borotho 1983, appreciated. 1983, good year. Thank you for the super chat. And thanks for hanging out. Everything from dinos to carbon dosing to mirrorless cameras. What else we got? Okay, any other questions I didn't get? Let's hit it up. My Sony is cold time for dust. I find it's a good balance. With vinegar only, you need quite a bit more. With straight vodka, it's less of a dose, but seems to drop a bit faster. The mix worked well. Good to know. Now, next question. How do you think like the DIY vodka vinegar compared to like a product like that? Do you think there's much of a difference, or is it all the same at the end of the day? I've done them both, like at different times in the year, but... Soki, do you DIY trace element solutions? I have not. You could absolutely buy the raw trace elements and mix your own, and it would probably be way cheaper, but you'd have to figure out what those doses are and what those mixing ratios are to make it like a reef-ish style dose, which would be the tricky part, but you absolutely could. Auto-correct, collecting dust, yes. Okay, if you are doing cameras for them, like this, I save everyone the hassle. 85B is the filter that you want. This is the magic for canceling out the blues. I've tried a bazillion different ones. I've bought so many freaking yellow and orange filters over the year. This is the best one. All the other ones are they mess with the colors too much and it's too fake. This is the most natural looking. When you're doing photography with the DLSR, how do you use HDR mode? I don't even bother. And underexposed to bring up. I don't really bother trying to do HDR with corals because you're essentially taking 3 photos and stacking them. If you had no flow, you absolutely could. But if you have the flow on and you're snapping photos, you're going to get too much movement in the tank. You'd have to have all your pumps off to do it. So I don't even bother doing HDR. I just pop it on, snap a quick pic. But if you have a proper DSLR and you have a macro lens, like you can get some wicked photos. Dosing vodka as a Canadian is expensive. You know, I feel you on that one, Steve. Any guide on what exactly I'm doing with a microscope? Okay, take a sample. Maybe I'll do a microscope stream for fun. That'd be kind of fun. But essentially just take a little sample, put it on a slide, pop it under there, and you just want to zoom in until you can see the cells. You need to look at the shape of the cells to know what they are. Shake it. Yeah, just, you know, I just suck some up in a pipette, give a little shake, put a little drop on the slide, and then just zoom in until you got it in focus. But then if you just look up like Dino identification and I don't know, you probably even feed it ChatGPT, it might get it right. Be interesting to know. But yeah, it's really comes down to the thing. It's like some of them look more like a seed shape and they'll spin around. Like some will like orbit around, some will like flip over itself. Like, so also pay attention to the movement of it because that will help you identify it. I think it's like not osteoporosis, osteorosis, or it's been a while. I'm not up on my Dino. It's been a while since I've dug deep in the holes. Microbacter 7. Yeah, that can, you know, I've heard that working. You know, there's been times I've done the kitchen sink approach too, where I put literally everything at it. Yeah, like the beak too. Like some of them will look more like a seed shape, some of them more round. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is you need to look and see just the different types. Let me see if I have that guide handy or not quickly. Just going to quickly see if it's still in the files on Facebook. No, let's see, Max. I'll pull it up for you. We'll give you the quick things you can reference this afterwards. Files. Okay. I think this is the one we want. Give me a sec to screen share this. Okay. So Jason Mack, all credits to him. He made a wicked document on this. And so types of dinos. This is what we need to look at. Okay, so these large cell, you know, we got the Protosternum. I'm not even going to attempt to look at this, but see the difference. So we got Austeropus, small cell, Ampha, whatever they are. Don't count me on the naming. So you can kind of go through here and see the different ones. All right, so we got the Kulia and Osteoposis, generally find. Yeah, so these ones go in the water column at night between lights out. So UV is what you want for these guys. Again, like I'll just send you this document afterwards, and it definitely makes a big difference. But again, you got to be able to pop them under microscope and see what they look like. So the Kulia are like little circles. You know, those guys are like little seed shapes. You can kind of see they can be more stringy on the sand bed. Chrysophytes, these are another one. These look more like algae. I've dealt with these in the past. They're a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's kind of like a matty algae-ish. It's kind of like a blend of dinos in that. So yeah, a couple different ones, but yeah, you got to pop it under the microscope and just kind of compare it to this and to see whatever ones look similar, and that should help you after that. Fish Ventura, thanks, Dev. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Much appreciated. But yeah, shape and movement definitely makes a difference. So 100% microscope it. And then we will compare it. Okay, I just freshly downloaded this one, so I'll post it later for you. Dun-dun-dun. LCAs and dinos are the worst. Yeah, I agree. Dinos are just a pain. It's like the one thing that we could get rid of in the hobby. Like it used to be, what's the one you can treat with fluconazole now? Or really high magnesium. Rhapsody. Like that was like the one that used to be like people would like shut down their tanks. They couldn't get rid of it. And now, you know, we can use fluconazole to treat it. Like dinos used to be like, we'll shut down our tank. But now there's, you know, good guides. Like props to Jason Max for putting that together. But like there's ways to beat them now. It's not something that's going to make you shut down your tank anymore. Dinos take a lot of time to get out once in your water column. You know, though, if they're in your water column, you can use UV to kill them, which makes a big difference. Live rock, we were missing. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why we get them more, is because back in the day with live rock, we had all this diverse bacteria instantly into our tank. Now everyone starts with like dry, sterile rock, and you don't have that bacteria to outcompete stuff. So these things can take hold a lot easier than they could before. All right, Sophia with an F. Next week, if you're on, let us know which one it is, and we could dig deeper. But yeah, shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, and I'll send you that document if you want it. Actually, here. Let me... No, I don't think I can post it because it's downloaded. Yeah, I'll send it to you later. All right, guys, I think we'll wrap her up pretty quick here. So if there's any last-minute questions, ask away. Please share a link. Yes, a download. It was a Facebook link, so I'm going to post it in there because I don't know if I can share it directly because I think you have to be logged in. Here, let's do this. Okay, so I did. Boom. Okay, should be in here. Okay, if you're on Facebook, join my group, click on files, guides posted top of the page. Can't miss it. Yeah, let me post Mac's group too, because if you can ID it, he's wicked. He's a super amazing, wonderful, helpful person. What's this group called? Max. Here. Okay, there's this group. If you can join, if you can ID it yourself, post a picture there. Could you use a piece of live rock in your sump with new life rock? Drastically help. Yes, absolutely. Anything you can add to your tank to add more diverse bacteria is a good thing. As long as you're not adding the nasties, obviously that's a risk too. But if you could add, you know, live rock or imported rock, that diversity is going to populate through your tank and absolutely help. You know, it's harder to get, but if you can, it's good. Help me win. See? Perfect. It works, thanks. Absolutely. Yeah, so 100% worth it if you can. I would love to pick some up and get some if there is a nice, easy way, but it's expensive and a challenge. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap her up, but Fesh Ventura, Brotho, Alyssa, Michael, thank you guys so much for super chats. Definitely appreciate that. Did you buy the pro version of DaVinci Resolve? Yes, I did. I do have the pro version mainly because it lets you render with your graphics card instead of your processor, and it is fast. Way back in the day, I used to use Adobe Premiere, and the pro version of this with the GPU renders so much faster, which is amazing. And when I do videos every week, the time saving definitely adds up. Thank you for your help. You're most welcome. Thank you for all your time. Thank you guys for hanging out to me today. I wouldn't do this if no one showed up. So it's because you guys keep showing up, I keep doing it. So I appreciate it. So thanks guys for hanging out. And yeah, have a wonderful evening, and we will catch you guys next week's live stream. Cheers.